And Global Affairs analyst Ademola Abbas joins me now for discussions on this development. Good to have you join us, Ademola Abbas. Now, in recent times, we've seen attacks in states like Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara, and even Kaduna. Now, how does this report coming from the U.S. Of infiltration by Al-Qaeda into the country complicate the security situation in the country?
Well, thank you very much. You must understand that this report is coming from a special operation, which is part of the AFRICOM, which is African Command of the U.S., based in Stuttgart in Germany. And the major focus of that is to help 53 African countries, obviously excepting Egypt, which is under the U.S. Central Command, to help African states through their security challenges. Now, U.S. has been partnering with Nigeria for a long time, even long before Boko Haram began in 2009 or thereabout, and they've been doing that. Now, you've had a lot of security challenges in the Northeast. But now what this report is all about now is that we are beginning to have droves of Al-Qaeda and ISIS now moving into the Northwest. That they are beginning to infiltrate Northwest, KB, Kaduna, Sokoto, Zamfara, and some other states in that particular region. Now that is going to complicate issues a lot. Because already in the Northeast, the military has not proved particularly effective in dealing with overall security challenges of Nigeria in that enclave alone, let alone when you now then add the Northwest to it. We live in a society in which whether the military or the bandit, whoever, could attack safely a governor's convoy. That should call for a lot of concern in this country. So it comes down to what the Nigerian government makes out of that report. But if you look at the pattern of collaboration between the U.S. and Nigeria, I think we should pay serious attention to that.
What should they make of this report? Because we've heard the president say that he directed the security chiefs and the Inspector General of Police to rejig and re-engineer the security architecture of the country. So what should they make of these reports?
But the question is, what does rejigging and re-engineering mean? Nigerians have been shouting, clamoring, so to say, that you need to make an overhaul, structural change into the military establishment because of the report that we've been getting. Now, if this report will serve anything, it is to let the federal government understand that it's high time it began to take the security of Nigerians very, very seriously. It should go beyond rhetoric, such that you hear from the governor of Katsina State saying, no, we will not allow the security challenges in the Northwest to be like the Northeast. That is not the approach. General David Anderson, you refer to, made a very clear statement, and he identified two things that need to be done by the government immediately. That is across border. Number one, the federal government of Nigeria needs to isolate a focus. It is that focus that the international partners will engage with in helping them to deal with the challenge. And then the second thing is not to underestimate the violent extremist organizations, the VEOs, because of the fact that they are very, very resilient. And because of the pandemic, they're taking advantage of the weaknesses in the structure of the government and of the country itself. I mean, take for instance in Mali. Look at what is going on in Mali, what is going on in other African countries. Burkina Faso, for instance. Burkina Faso and Mali, over 3,000 schools were shut down by ISIS operatives in that place. Across Africa continent, you've got 9,000 schools shut down already. So Boko Haram, ISIS, ISWAP, whatever their mutants are in the continent, are taking advantages of the weaknesses in the continental structure. So the government also needs to identify where they can deal with these particular insurgents by leveraging on what that report speaks to.
But talking about identifying the weak spots of these insurgents, let's also talk about weak spots in our fight against insecurity. At one point, we heard it was sabotage. Another point, they said it was inadequate weapons and equipment for the military. And at some point, it is intelligence sharing amongst the agencies. So what are your concerns in terms of how we've been dealing with security challenges in the country?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. There's no gainsaying the fact that, number one, we have a very poor understanding of what security is all about. Security is not about guns and bullets, especially when you are confronting a very powerful multinational, entities like ISIS and so on and so forth. Security is about intelligence. Security is about human security in Nigeria, for instance. You've got to ask yourself a question, what are the root causes of insecurity in Nigeria? I listened yesterday to Major General Mongono, the National Security Advisor, saying, drug use and drug abuse are the causes of insecurity in the North. And I was like, That can be entirely correct. Yes, there are issues with that. What about intelligence sharing? What about even the budget? People have been calling for the removal of service chiefs in Nigeria. And I could understand why Nigerians feel disappointed by their security. But you know what? You can remove them if you don't change the government's attitude towards security as a whole. It doesn't change anything. So you can remove the chief of defense staff, naval staff, wherever, and put other people there. They will do the same thing. We are in a country in which the budget, the overall budget of Nigerian, armed forces is what is the quantum of that in our national budget. Even the AFRICOM we are talking about is $246 million. That is in Stuttgart in Germany. Let me tell you, University of California budget is bigger than Nigeria's budget as a whole. It's $34 billion. That's one university in the United States of America. I'm not even talking about Harvard, $45 billion. So you are talking about infrastructural deficit. We haven't got the capacity. I mean, the military can come out and say, oh, we are willing and able to. They're confusing two terms. You can be willing, that's a political will, but you're not able to because you haven't got the infrastructure that you require to fight Boko Haram. So it's a question of infrastructure, it's a question of resources, it's a question of intelligence sharing, it's a question of looking at the soft issues like what are the root causes of insecurity in the country. So you can go after Boko Haram, but do you target how they are recruiting? Do you target what is giving people delusionment in the country that they want to join these organizations? Those are the things. So we have to win the battle, but you also have to win the heart and mind. It's not just a question of bombs and bullets.
All right, so we've seen insecurity across the Sahel for a really long time. Yeah. But this report also states that Al-Qaeda is also looking to infiltrate West Africa. So how should ECOWAS engage? Fantastic
question. Again, as I said, one of the focuses of AFRICOM is dealing with regional security threat. ECOWAS needs to step up. I mean, I've had experience with working for African Union in those days. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes what you see sort of disheartens you. Let me just be cheeky in a way. Somebody once asked me what I make of African Union. I said, I'm going to be cheeky. And I said, look, it's African vices multiplied by 54 countries. Pure and simple. It's the level of unseriousness about tackling insecurity has to change across the whole continent of Africa. We don't do it. In the Chad Basin here, we have the Multinational Joint Task Force, which was established how many years ago, recalibrated in 2015. What has it been able to deliver? So what you have is a plethora of activities, different missions here and there. There should be a harmonization of different groups and different entities that are combating. They have to come together. Then there should be a cohesive approach between ECOWAS as a sub-regional organization, which we call REC, a Regional Economic Community, and the continental organization called the African Union in their approach towards this thing. So sometimes what you see is disparity. Even within West Africa, you have the Francophonie in West Africa, you have the Anglophonie in West Africa. Look, when Boko Haram strikes, when ISIS strikes, it doesn't make that kind of distinction. It strikes pure and simple. So you have to have a cohesive approach towards engaging the insurgents.
Global Affairs Analyst Demola Abbas, thanks for talking to us.
My pleasure.